Welcome to this week's Davidson Football Player Spotlight, powered by Wade Associates. I'm Jake Eisenberg. We're joined this week by senior offensive lineman Ethan Steinbacher. Ethan, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with this past Saturday. 52-10 win over Butler. This team's now 7-3, 4-2 in PFL play. What's this year been like?
It's been a lot more fun than it has been in past years. I mean, it's always going to be more enjoyable when you win, and especially in weeks like this when we were so dominant, it's just that much more satisfying to just be able to roll over somebody.
When you're rushing successfully the way you guys did against Butler, is there a specific play that stands out to you from that game that you kind of smile about, I nailed that block?
Yes. I think it was one of the ones in the second quarter where Jarrell Story was able to just run straight up the middle. Because it was a situation where I had a double team with Will Berkey, and it was one where I felt myself reach around the guy, and out of my peripheral vision, saw him get up to the linebacker. And in those moments where we both are able to execute that play like that, it's pretty clear that there's going to be a gaping hole there. And it was very satisfying to see Story run right by me to go through it.
Kind of just right off your hip.
Yeah.
When you guys have over 450 rushing yards, as a collective group, the offensive line, how much pride do you take in a number like that?
A lot. I mean, we are a triple option offense, so, I mean, it's what you would expect to be more rushing heavy, but it is always very satisfying to be able to put up numbers like that to where 400 yards rushing in a game isn't really, it's more the standard than the exception.
And with that, Wesley Duggar's now the all-time leading rusher. How much of that accomplishment is also your accomplishment?
Since I won't get recognized as much for it, it is nice to be able to take some pride in it. But I mean, it's very satisfying to see him be able to do that and to know that we were a big part of it.
Now, as a senior, you've got a pretty unique perspective on this team, having spent 2 years before Coach Abel got here, and now 2 years with this triple option offense. What was that transition like initially when Coach Abel arrived last year?
I think mentality-wise, people had a lot more energy going into this offense just because it was something new. And I think it was something that Coach Abel preached, was just being able to do your specific job with a more focused mindset. And it's something where we've been able to apply that pretty well, I feel like.
How did your role specifically change with the triple option offense?
Me specifically, it felt like I went from much more of because we obviously run the ball downhill a lot more. That was just something that I, mentality-wise, noticed, is it's much more getting off the ball downfield versus like retreating in a more pass-heavy role.
Gotcha. Now you look at these last 2 years, and the growth is pretty obvious. Last year, the first over 500 season since 2007. This year, 7 wins for the first time since 2002. What's that growth been like to experience inside the locker room? It's become a situation where one win is no longer just enough. A couple years back, we would have been happy for a conference win. This year, everyone is still focused week to week, and it's something where we can easily get to 9 wins, and it's something we want to do. With those younger players, you're going to have some new running backs coming in here, like an Aris Hilliard, like a Braden Oakley, who got some playing time against Butler. How do they run differently than guys like Wesley Duggar and Jarrell Story?
Everyone brings a different energy to that. I think they both play hard, they run hard, and I'm excited to see how good they can be in the future.
Let's rewind to, youthful, exuberant Ethan Steinbacher. You're coming out of high school. You're coming out of high school, and you're trying to decide where to play college football. Mm-hmm. Your uncle, your dad, your brother all played at UNC.
Yeah.
You come here. Why Davidson?
Partially, I wasn't going to play at UNC if I went there. And also, for me, going somewhere like Chapel Hill wouldn't really have been me leaving home, essentially. I would have been going somewhere that I'd been going already for like almost every weekend of my life up until that point. Like my family we have family in Chapel Hill, so I would have been staying with them all the time. So for me, getting away from home was as much staying close to home, in a sense, with that going to Davidson. And I mean, I just enjoyed the feel of Davidson every time I came here.
You walk around campus,
Yeah.
and it's hard to not fall in love with this place.
Yeah.
What's something that I guess you're gonna miss about Davidson once you move on?
I mean, you miss the people. I mean, the relationships I've built with football and just all the friends I've made here. I mean, a lot of us are probably going to split up after this ends, so it's going to be tough to say bye to a lot of those guys.
But a couple weeks ago, you see the 50th anniversary of the Tangerine Bowl team.
Yeah,
You see all those people come back, and maybe 5 decades from now, Ethan Steinbacher's back
I don't
on
have
campus.
that kind of foresight going ahead.
No, we're not that old yet.
No, I'm not looking that far ahead yet.
Well, one thing that, maybe we're not going to look ahead to it, but want to recognize it certainly. I want to make sure I get this right. You're a Campbell Trophy semifinalist.
Yes.
That's given to a senior in their final year of eligibility who exemplifies academic success, performance on the field, and exemplary leadership. That sounds pretty good. What does that honor mean to you?
I mean, it's always nice to be recognized. I mean, I don't consider myself to be above and beyond in any of those categories, but I think I have worked hard when I've been here. I've done everything I can in school and football, and it's nice to have the overall combination of all those things be recognized together.
Now just a few games left on the schedule. What's the goal for you?
9-3.
9-3?
Yep.
Well, 2 wins in a row, going down to Stetson this week.
Mm-hmm.
Going to make it 8-3 this weekend, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
One step at a time.
All right, Ethan. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Many thanks to Ethan Steinbacher for joining us this week on the Davidson Football Player Spotlight. You can follow Davidson Football this week against Stetson. They're down in Florida. You can listen on the radio on the Davidson Radio Network or follow along on Twitter @DavidsonFB. For the Davidson Football Player Spotlight, I'm Jake Eisenberg. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.